Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam and dear viewers, I welcome you once again to our journey on the subject of inheritance in Islam. Last session, we were on the entitlements of the heirs, individual heirs. We classify or categorize the heirs into the descendants of the deceased, parents of the deceased, also ascendants of the father, that is the grandparents of the deceased, and then the spouses, the spouse, or either husband or wife, and then the descendants of the father, which are the siblings to the deceased, and then we have the maternal siblings to the deceased. So we stopped at the spouse of the deceased. So today we are we'll be going to descendants of the father, that is the siblings of the deceased. We start with the real brother of the deceased. He does not inherit in the presence of the son, grandson, and father of the deceased. As we mentioned in our previous discussions, that the siblings don't inherit in the presence of the father. And then also, if the brother is alone, he takes the whole residue. And then if he's with a real sister, he shares in ratio 2-1 because they are of the same rank in relationship to the deceased. And then two or more brothers will share equally the residue. Also, is excluded by son of the deceased. And you remember the six closest male relatives of the deceased were mentioned from son to father, then brother. So the son is higher than the brother of the deceased. So he will cut off the brother. So the same thing with the grandson who substitute for the son. And then we have mentioned the father of the deceased always cut off the siblings of the deceased. Then we come to consanguine brother. Consanguine brother, which is the same thing as paternal brother of the deceased, inherits as a real brother in his absence. The same way that the real brother shares with the real sister, ratio 2-1, the consanguine brother also shares with the consanguine sister, ratio 2-1. And two or more consanguine brothers equally divide the residue, just as we have the real brothers more than one, two or more, dividing the residue among themselves equally. We should note that the consanguine brother is excluded by the real brother because he's a closer relative. The real brother is a closer relative than the consanguine brother, so you cut him off if he exists. And that the consanguine brother, however, is not excluded by a real sister. He takes the residue, if any, after the real sister takes her fixed share. So also, the consanguine brother converts excluded consanguine sister into a residuary. Where he exists, the consanguine brother exists and is entitled to a residue, and then the excluded consanguine sister, maybe by other real sister, will now join the consanguine brother to share ratio 2-1, the residue. We should note that the consanguine brother is excluded by the son, the grandson, and the father of the deceased. He's also excluded by the grandfather, according to Abu Hanifa. Majority of opinion says that he co-inherits with the grandfather. So for the real sister, he will not inherit in the presence of son, grandson, and father of the deceased. And then he takes half of the property if alone. That's according to verse 176 of Surah An-Nisa. Then two or more real sisters will equally divide two-thirds according to the same verse 176, chapter 4. And then in the presence of a real brother, she becomes a residuary, and then they divide the residue with him, male to female ratio 2:1. She becomes a residuary in the absence of a real brother if she exists with a daughter or granddaughter of the deceased. This we mentioned earlier in our previous discussions. It should be highlighted that she's excluded by son, grandson, and father of the deceased. For consanguine sister, who is a substitute for the consanguine for the real sister, in the absence of the real sister, also takes half, just as the real sister takes half of the property if alone, and two or more consanguine sisters share two-thirds of the property, just as a real sister. Real sisters will do in the absence of real sisters. Then she takes 1/6 of the total property if she coexists with one real sister to make the total of two-thirds for the sisters. She's excluded in the presence of two or more real sisters because they will be entitled to two-thirds. In that case, the maximum the sisters can take is two-thirds. So there won't be anything left for her. And a consanguine brother converts an excluded consanguine sister into residuary and divides the residue with her, male to female ratio 2:1. Also, she takes the residue in the presence of the daughter or granddaughter, if not excluded otherwise. We need to highlight again that she's excluded by the son, grandson, father, and real brother of the deceased. She's also excluded by the grandfather, according to Abu Hanifa. But the majority opinion says that he can co-inherit with the grandfather. Then, as for the maternal siblings of the deceased, uterine brothers and sisters of the deceased, the uterine brothers and sisters do not inherit in the presence of the son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, father, and grandfather of the deceased. So, they are not, however, they are not excluded by full or consanguine meaning paternal brothers and sisters of the deceased. So, irrespective of gender, a uterine brother or sister take 1/6 of the property. Here, the male to female ratio of 2:1 is not honored here. Is in their own case, irrespective of gender, the male or female maternal sibling of the deceased, if they are entitled to inherit, we take each one of them will be 1/6. If there are more than two, they share in the 1/3. Two or more uterine brothers or sisters or both together will share in the 1/3. That is the maximum they can get, no matter their number, and they will share equally irrespective of being male or female. So we once again highlight that they are excluded by children of the deceased, the son's children, that is the son's children, and then father and grandfather of the deceased. So this brings us to the end of the individual heirs to the deceased. So we classify them into 5 categories, as we have mentioned. We have the descendants of the deceased, parents of the deceased. We have ascendants of the father, well, that is the grandparents, and then the spouse, and then also the descendants of the father of the deceased, that is the siblings to the deceased, and also the maternal siblings of the deceased. So with this, we have come to the end of the individual heirs and their condition or entitlements. So inshallah, we'll be going to see the cases of distribution, what will come up, the scenarios we'll be covering regarding distribution of inheritance. So some cases where the fixed shares will be equal to 1, or the fixed share less than 1, and then the fixed shares less than 1. So how to treat each case will be dealt with in the next, or what to be considered will be discussed in the next episode. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spare our life till then and beyond. Amin subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamu ala al-mursalin. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.